Today I'd like to share with you a couple different ways that I cook a turkey. One is deboning it, cooking it off the bone, and then the other is a traditional way on the bone. Then I'm going to show you different ways on how to trim it, plate it, how to stuff a turkey using some cheesecloth, and so I'm hoping that you learn some great tips from this video. And so let's get started. One of the little tricks I want to show you is I usually wet a wet rag. I put it on the counter. By doing that, the cutting board will not slide, and that's a big problem. So two things you're going to need is, obviously, you want to take your turkey and make sure it's thoroughly unthawed. You're also going to want it to sit out 1 hour before you put it in the oven. You want it to take some of the chill out, and what we're going to do is we're going to first cook it at 500 degrees, and I'll get more into that. So some of the great things that we have to do is to prep our turkey, and without retying it, I'm going to leave this little plastic thing because it helps us hold the shape of the bird. But I'm going to take the insides out, and we thoroughly washed this turkey prior to me filming, and we took the rest out. So I usually take the neck, and I'm going to show you how to make a fantastic stock. And so I'm going to put it in the pan for now. Another little trick that I like is cheesecloth. You get this really cheap at the markets, and so I cut usually the cheesecloth. I'm also going to pat my turkey to make sure that it's dry, we have no water. Like a lot of people, we put stuffing in the turkey. And for today, I made a bread stuffing, a basic one, just to kind of give you guys an idea of how I stuff it with the cheesecloth. And we'll do another video about all the sides of Thanksgiving, but for this purpose was really to teach you some tips and tricks on cooking a turkey. Now, most of you know I do have ataxia, so there's some coordination issues, and so you gotta bear with me a little bit on that part. And so what I do is I open up the cheesecloth, I put it on the bird, and I slowly push the cheesecloth in. Then I'll take some of my bread stuffing. It was cooked earlier and we let it cool, but basically what I'm going to do is stuff the bird. Now, a lot of us have big families, so you're going to have to probably do some of it in the oven, your regular stuffing, or what I like to do is actually bake it in the oven, not in the turkey. And I take oranges, lemons, apples, any kind of fruit like that, cut them up in wedges and stuff your turkey. And what it does is it holds the shape of your turkey, and it also gives it some nice zest that comes from it. Then I wrap up the rest of my cheesecloth. I give it a couple twirls and give it a quick tie. So then we're going to get a roasting pan. We're going to put the turkey in the roasting pan. I'm going to put the leg back in. And again, if you don't have the plastic that comes with the turkey, I rarely recommend that you trussle it by tying it, the legs. Even take your wings. What you can do is you bend it like that and you put them underneath, and it'll hold the shape, and it'll also give it a nice brown coat. I made prior, I took a pound of butter, melted it down, put some sage in there, white wine, and a little bit of garlic. And just 2 little tricks that you can do. If you take your fingers and you slowly work it underneath the skin without tearing it, and you do the same up this way, and just slowly work your fingers in, and you'll feel the meat separate. And you can also make, mine is actually loose, you can take cold butter, and what you do is you will stuff the butter underneath the skin. Another thing that you can do is 2 little tricks. You can cut another piece of cheesecloth and you put it all over the breast part. Because we all know that once you're going to cook it in the oven, this part usually gets very overdone, cooked, but the meat is not done. And then by soaking the cheesecloth in the butter, you can use a pastry brush, but as you can see, it's nothing like using your hands. Just make sure they're clean, washed. And we've all gone over washing with everything going on. And then that's a great way. If you didn't have the cheesecloth, you could take a piece of foil, and what you're going to do is you fold it in half. And what you're going to do is you're going to mold it to the turkey. And you're just going to want to just, again, cover just the breast parts. And so after you're done molding it, remove it. And now when the turkey is just about an hour done, you'll already have a pre-shaped top to lay right on your turkey without touching a hot turkey. So after you do that, I like to cook the neck in with my turkey. Some people don't like to do that. And again, you saw me put over there, and I'm going to show you how to make one of the best stocks that you ever did. So you're going to put it in your oven for 500 degrees. Yes, 500 degrees. Every oven is not set at 350 degrees. So you're going to cook it at 500 degrees for a half hour. At the half hour mark, you're going to reduce the oven down to 325, and you're going to continue to cook it for 25 minutes per pound. So basically we're looking at probably about 4 hours left on the turkey. So we want to preheat the oven nice and hot get up to 500 degrees, and then we're gonna put it in for a half hour. So we're gonna move on to the next turkey now, and we're going to debone this. It's not as hard as you think. It just takes time. The more you do it, the faster then you'll be. So I throw the bones. We're gonna make our own stock. So the first thing that I do is we're going to remove the legs first. And the whole object is we want to save as much skin over the breast as possible. So I'm going to pull the leg out and then make my cut so I know that I'm not cutting an excess amount of skin. I'm going to do that to both sides. Then I'm going to turn it. And if you take the legs and you push, you can almost hear them do a snap. Let me turn it this way so you can see. So I'm going to run the knife as far as I can underneath the cartilage. And you'll see the leg has now popped from the joint. And we're going to cut the leg away. Look at that. That wasn't too hard, huh? And now we do the same over here. Turn it to the side. Feel where that knuckle is right there. This one here didn't pop on me, so you can see it now. It popped. Once you find that, there's a bone right here. It runs straight. I'm just going to cut along that. And now we have our second leg. Now we're going to move the wing. Again, just score the skin all the way around the wing. And then now we have the legs and the wings off. Now we're actually left with just the breast and the cartilage from the bottom. If you hold it here, it's in front of your turkey. You're gonna cut right here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna snap that right out of the way. Now, the other turkey is roasting with all this, and none of us really eat this, but this makes the perfect stock. So now, we're left with just the breast. I'm gonna cut the back out. Again, if you can see, you can almost see where the line is. Let your knife do the work. Okay, now we have just the full breast. And how do we get this off the bone? We're going to start here at the side, and if you feel, there's one rib that goes this way and one rib that goes this way, and that's where we're going to start. And again, I put very little pressure on the knife, and what I'm basically doing is following the bone. And once I score it, you can almost take the meat and just keep pulling. Again, just want to be careful with our knife. And I'm at the other side of the bone, so we're going to flop that back, and we're going to do the same on this side. We're going to start by following that one rib that's here. Give that meat a little pull. And we're just about there. So now, basically, you can see we're almost off the bone. Now what's holding it is just the rib. So we want to be very careful and just keep running the knife, and you'll see it eventually. And again, gotta make it stuck. So then what we're gonna do is now we're left with just the turkey breast. And as you can see, we have the whole skin. What I will do is I will cut this part of the skin off. I will flop it over. You'll notice that we got a very thin part here, and we got a thick part here. So what I recommend is we kind of give it a little bit of a butterfly. Now, we're pretty flat and we're pretty even on the thickness. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put our stuffing. We made this ahead, let it cool, because we don't want to recook the stuffing again. Pack that in like that. I think we're pretty much there. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take the meat over like that. We're going to take this over like that. just keep shaping it. And you can add as much stuffing as you want, but basically now we're left with a boneless turkey. We're going to grab it underneath. Put it in a pan. I like to take my turkey legs and I put one that way, one like this, and it actually holds the shape of the turkey and won't allow it to slide. I put the wing in. Wing in. And then we'll season it again with our butter and wine sauce that we made ahead with some sage. Again, I like to cover it with cheesecloth because it'll actually hold a lot of the butter, so you don't have to baste that often. A lot of people I know brine their turkeys. I'll do another video on that one day, but that's a cool way of, another way of cooking it. And I love deep fried turkeys. And so we're gonna put that on like that. I'm gonna let that butter just saturate right into the cheesecloth. And I'm gonna show you one other trick. Anytime you use the butter will burn, margarine will burn. If you add just a little bit of olive oil on top, it'll stop it from burning. So we're going to put it in the oven again at 500 for 20 minutes just to sear it, and then we'll let it cook, and this should probably take about less than 2.5 hours. A lot faster because we have no bones. Alright, we're going to start with our first turkey that we cooked on the bone, and we cooked it with the stuffing inside of the cheesecloth. We waited for it to get to an internal temperature of 165 degrees. And then we let it relax on the stove for about 2 hours. One of the mistakes we all make is we're trying to time our turkey to the time that we want to serve it. And so it's basically coming out of the oven, wait about a half hour, and we're cutting it. And you notice that all the juices are extracting out of the turkey. So the best way is to really let it sit for 2 hours, then cut it and serve it. So we're gonna get rid of then we're gonna take the leg. It should really fall right off the bone. As you can see, I'm taking no effort of pulling it off. I know in my family, most people all like the white meat. And so I'm going to start by putting the leg that way. You can also take it off and serve it into the quarters. I'm going to take off one of our chicken legs. And then I'm going to show you how to take off the breast. Very easy. You can see the middle cartilage bone. And take your knife and just score a little bit on the left side, and again on the other side. And so basically what you're doing is you're cutting on both sides of this bone. Come straight down and straight down this way and on the other side of the bone, so we could do both breasts. At this time I'll remove this leg. Put it like that. Then take your knife. The back end is where your wishbone is. Wishbone is shaped this way, so we're going to cut this way, that way, and at the same time we'll put a gap here. We can almost put our fingers in there. And so when we follow the bone down, there's one little bone here. That's the only bone you'll have on the side. Just take the knife like that. And again, let your knife just ride down. Now you've already taken off the bone. And let me just move this other part to pan. Alright, now that we're taking off the breast, we'll do the same thing with the other side, so you can have two of them. To speed up this video, I'm just going to show you one side and how to do it. So I pull it off like this. You can almost see the grain if you open it up. So the grain runs this way. We don't want to cut with the grain, we want to cut against the grain. And I like a serrated knife. A lot of people use carving knives, very smooth. I find sometimes it will tear. This can also tear. So depending on if you have it home and whichever one is working best, that's what I recommend. So like I said, the grain is going this way. We're going to cut against the grain. And so we start here. I like to push it together. I will then take my knife and use it as a spatula. And I can pick it all up and lay it right on the plate. And you could do the same thing with your second breast. It makes it a lot easier than trying to cut it off the bone and you're tearing it. I also want to show you, remember, we took our stuffing and we put it in a cheesecloth. A lot of times we'll have to stick the spoon in and we're trying to scoop it out. Comes out in one nice little bag. We're going to take our knife. hot. And there you go. Alright, next I'm going to take the turkey that we took off the bone raw. We stuffed it, and now it has no bones. So what I like to do is to cut against the grain. Just go slow when I pull the knife out the other side, just so I'm not ripping the skin. Now sometimes serving at home, I'll cut it this way, but I want to show you what the inside is going to look like. So if we pick it up like this, you can see the nice stuffing inside and the boneless. You can see here. I think it's a great way to do a turkey, because what I can do is, if I prepare this the night before and ready to roast, I take all my bones like I showed you earlier, and they're roasting right now. Where a lot of us have to start the gravy out of the juices. By roasting the bones, you really truly get a nice bone stock. And I'm going to show you how those bones are going to look. We want to cook the bones until they're falling apart. Then I'll dress it with my wing, turkey leg, and we can add another wing here. You can sprinkle some cranberries on there, however you like to serve it. But to me, I think it's a much easier way of cutting a turkey and getting rid of all the bones the night before, so you're not dealing with that when your guests are arriving. It's good. Alright, now we're going to grab the bones that we've been roasting in the oven. Really caramelize, 3 hours cooking. Any scraps you have for vegetables, anything that adds flavor, just throw it in, let it roast with some water in the bottom of the pan, very little water. You really want the roasting to happen and dry out. So now we're going to take out our bones that have been roasting for over the last 3 hours. And you can see those bones are pretty well dried out and roasted very well. We have in here some celery. You can see it's almost being cooked. Some onions, carrots. So we want to let that all roast. you have a china cap, that's ideal. Strainer will work. What we're gonna do is just pour that in. We can take these bones, throw them back into our pot with some water, and we can start a turkey stock for whatever's left for turkey at the end of the day, and create now a turkey soup out of these bones. Alright, so we have our 2 dishes all done. One off the bone cooks, pre-stuffed, and one off that we roasted with the bones. If you remember, I roasted the bones in the oven, and you can really kind of see how dark that stock is. And you don't have to heat this up with cornstarch or anything to make it thick. I mean, there is nothing like a well-tasted juice to go over it. And serve it like that. So how about you? I'm gonna start to bring this to the table. Hold on, guys, they're coming. You guys are so anxious. So I hope you all enjoyed all the little tips and tricks, and that food smells fabulous. I can't wait to go eat. Till next time, see ya.
John's so excited about going to eat this turkey, he forgot to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. So from our staff at Simply Delicious, we hope you have a safe and happy Thanksgiving.